This conference will now be recorded.
Hi, and welcome to Navigating the Now. It is April 2021, and boy, there's a lot of now to navigate. I'm really excited to have Vireo online with us. Vireo is one of our practitioners, and I'm just going to ask you to just a little bit about how you kind of came to belief repatterning, a little bit about what it is, what it's doing for you.
Yeah, I was blessed to be introduced to belief patterning, and I remember the date specifically because it was such a transformational moment. It was June 6th, 2017, that I had the pleasure, Suze, of meeting you. And I'll be quite honest, my friend Sarah had been, I'm going to say, bugging me for probably a year to come. And I thought, you know what, been there, done that. It's just like everything else that I've been doing. And I actually just went to, so she would just stop bugging me. And I remember specifically when I met you, Suze, you were reading out of your book, and there was a specific passage that you said. I don't have it in my hands right now, but it was basically that in those moments, I'm an educated, and I am an educated woman, I'm a master's in education, and yet there were moments in my life where I could not access all this wisdom I had, and I was behaving not me. And when you read that in your book, I started crying. I'm like, that's it. That's she's talking about me, because I started to understand how the brain works. And I realized in those moments where I wasn't me, there was no use beating myself up, because when I was in that fight, flight, freeze, I couldn't access the smarter part of my brain that had the intelligent answers to behave differently. And that was such a huge relief, because there was moments that I was spinning out badly in anxiety and depression and panic. And so I said yes right away to jumping on board and learning more about belief repatterning, because it felt like somebody finally explained what was happening for me in my life when life happened, which, like you said, there's a lot of life happening right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And fast forward from that date in June, 4 years ago now. Am I doing the math right? Whenever. Fast forward, you're now a practitioner and supporting other people to navigate through whatever's going on for them. And that passage, it's interesting because I do remember writing it, and it was kind of like I'm going to fess up that I don't have all the answers. Like I think it's really easy to kind of be the guru, and you've got, and it's like no, because when we're in that place of spin, when there's a lot of life happening, when we're tired, hungry, thirsty, or our pants need changing, we forget all the enlightened stuff that we know. And it's not that we've forgotten, but it's like there's a barrier there, right? Yeah. And so using repatterning helps move you over. So it's not that it's going to solve the problems, it helps you get to a place where you can, where you've got that access again.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I've noticed in the last, it's been about 4 years that I became a practitioner. Another thing I remember the date because it was so transformational for me was September 13th, uh, 2018. I became a practitioner in 13 months. I think I have the math right there. And what was what was so big for me is that, yes, in the past, uh, and still now, life, lot of life is happening around us. And in the past, when things would happen that were upsetting to me, or like you said, I was tired, hungry, my pants needed changing, and then life happened around me, I would spin out in it for hours, days, weeks, months, years. And some stuff I drug, those limiting beliefs with me for decades. And some of it was, I'm not good enough, I don't deserve this, who am I to think I could do this? All of those play tapes that were playing in my mind. And now life is still happening around me. But what's happened is that when upsetting things have happened now, I know that they're not me, first of all, fairly quickly, within seconds, minutes. um, I can usually get myself from here to here and remember who I really am, and that's not true. That's just a story that's being played or a belief that's being played. And on the rare occasion, I'll reach out to our amazing belief for patterning community or to you as my coach, Suze, and then I can be reminded of who I am real quick so that I can keep showing up as the best version of Vireo. And it's the most powerful tool. This is my favorite tool, our belief for patterning pocketful, in my, I call it in my first aid kit. I have it by my bed, in my glove box, in my purse, by my coffee table, everywhere, because it helps me get to this place where I can walk through the 7 steps and start to train my subconscious mind so I can remember who I am and I can be a better version of Vireo. And I'm super excited because I was able to bring your belief repatterning tool to my toolkit. I work with women around sacred sexuality, and I actually was introduced to Yusu's and just a little bit before to sacred sexuality and sacred femininity for women. And I will honestly tell you, I would not be doing the work that I'm called to do had I not been introduced to belief repatterning. I would probably still be hiding in the closet or in my cabin here around shame, because it's such a taboo subject. And I've been able to support literally hundreds of women now in shame busting around their birthright to pleasure. And I wear my crown today purposefully to really, that I now can wear my crown and I'm not embarrassed, I'm not ashamed. And if people don't like me or think I'm crazy, I'm okay with that, because belief for patterning has allowed me to be so solid in Vireo and remembering who I am, that I'm more about, I can love myself enough that what people think of me is really none of my business most of the time. Yes, I have my human moments, but I'm going to tell you, most of the time I'm pretty solid in Vireo, and I'm so grateful that I get to support other women and have it ripple out to their children and their families, and they get to remember who they are so they can bring their gifts to the world as well.
Nice. Yeah. And then, I think you really, there's a whole lot in what you said. I'm so grateful to you that you are supporting specifically women in this. It's so interesting because people say to me, "Will belief repatterning work for?" And I go, "Yes." But even before they said what for, because it fits into everything, and you have really nailed a really important topic and a really tough place to deal with things, and are helping, like you say, hundreds of women navigate through this. And what the beautiful part is that ripples out to others. So repatterning can be used for anything. And I know that as a repatterning practitioner, you work with everybody, but your focus of your business is combining this with what you really are passionate about and helping others move through that. And so thank you for that. You mentioned the pocketful as your favorite tool. I'm wondering if you can give a specific example story about something that's happened during this COVID time, okay, that would illustrate how you were able to move yourself from here to here. And while you're doing that, I'm going to grab a piece of paper, because we're going to want to let people know how to get a hold of you. I'll be right back. You go ahead.
Absolutely. Yeah, so I have been picking a word from my pocketful basically every day since July 8th, 2017, when I was introduced to Sue's signature event. And I have many, many stories I could tell you. However, the one that's coming to mind in particular is one day my word was matter. And I actually burst into tears. This was actually before COVID. However, it's helped me navigate COVID over and over the last year as well. But the word was matter, and I burst into tears, and I realized in that moment that I had this old belief that I don't matter. I don't matter to other people. I don't matter to my family. I don't matter to others. And I'm happy to say that on my own, I was able to, because I've been trained and had gone to Flip Your Switch and learned the techniques from you, Suze, I was able to use the 7 steps of belief patterning to get myself in saying, of course you matter, Vireo. Yes, you matter. And what it did, it allowed me throughout the day to remember moments when I do matter, and then I mattered to myself, and I made myself a healthy drink in the morning, my green smoothie, and that showed me that I matter to myself. And so it's a way that allows me every day to, I could focus, right now there's a lot of fear on the planet, there's a lot of frustration, there's a lot of energy around, depending on where you're living, on the rules and especially fear, I think, for people right now. And so what it's allowed me to do is to just keep coming back to who I am in my solidness, to keep moving forward as Vireo and be the best version of myself. My word today is normal. It's normal. And I will tell you that I had a near moose experience last week, a very close call with a moose, and Sue's really supported me. And I had some moments where I'm not able to see my grandson right now, which has been heartbreaking for me. I'm going to be really honest with you. I had a lot of tears around that. And I also understand that my son right now, he's 23 years young, is wanting to protect his newborn baby and his wife, and he's following the rules. And I was super sad, and I had this moment where I got to choose life, and Sue's actually walked me through some repatterning with that, and it helped me to just really come back to normal today, to go, well, I can still connect with my grandson through video. I can still write him cards and messages, and this is going to pass. We're not going to be in this forever. So I was able to relax into what is possible right now, because I don't have control over the rules. I don't have control over vaccinations and all kinds of things right now. What do I have control over? Well, I have control over how I'm going to respond. I have control over, I could stay getting upset, but that's not really going to help Vireo. It's not going to help me, and it's certainly not going to help my relationship with my grandson or my son and his wife, my daughter-in-law. So what does help is if I can take care of me and I can do things that help me come from a place of hope and peace and love and possibility. And then what happens is when I'm in those places, like yesterday, I pulled out a whole bunch of baby clothes that were my son's, some special treasures I'd saved. I took photos and I said to my daughter-in-law, Jaira, I look forward to when I can bring these to you for little baby Tobias, right? So I can be hopeful, I can be loving, I can be optimistic, right? And feel normal and not get into story about anything that might bring me down. So yeah, it's helped me navigate so many challenges. I think that all of us are facing, and I can't imagine what my life would be without it the last 13 months. I think it's been for all of us, right? So this has helped me. I wanted to just add that a lot of people have been struggling financially over COVID. And for me, actually, the last few months, I've been now solid in my business, like really super solid. And I'm actually doing really well because I'm bringing these tools to women and to their families. And I've been able to use belief repatterning to keep myself solid in my business and in my finances as well. So that's been super powerful for me and the women that I'm working with, because I'm helping them to remember who they are so they can also keep bringing and being positive and being hopeful in their lives and making choices that will, help them be their best version of themselves as well.
Perfect. Well, I'm going to just open up if there's any questions. Before we do that, though, I just want to, one of the main questions I think is, how do I get a hold of Vireo? And so here's my high tech, high touch. So you can vireo.karvonen at beliefrepatterning.com. There's her number. And I've also added learnit-liveit.com. For anyone who's interested in, there is the, I know Vireo, you do introductory events frequently. There's some on that website that you can tie into as well. And that's kind of where you go to find out more about belief repatterning, but where you go to find out more about Vireo is here. And you may also want to, I didn't have your Facebook page. Do you want to just share that? Or your website?
Yeah, my Facebook page is Pleasure Coach Vireo. I just decided that my main focus is helping women who are struggling with, body image and loving themselves and the birthright to pleasure. And so pleasure just kept coming up as a theme over and over. So it just made it simple because my name is a little more unusual to spell. So people seem to remember Pleasure Coach, and it's Pleasure Coach Vireo on Facebook.
Perfect. So any questions from anyone who's listening live? If you're listening later to the recording, you are most welcome to pop on to Pleasure Coach Vireo on Facebook and ask Vireo directly, or onto Belief Repatterning and ask anybody of the members of the community. Any questions coming up? Okay, if there are, just pop into the chat box and let me know, or turn your mic on. What's one thing that you would say, Vireo, that is it the, maybe a little bit more about, like you said, you picked a word today was normal, and your word the other day was, is that the one, like that's the one, if you're going to do one thing, is that the one thing that you recommend to people, is just choose a word of intention, of a word of emotion that's on the upside? Is that your go-to?
Absolutely. That's like one of the first things I do before I even leave my bed is I actually pick my word, because it can set the tone. It does set the tone for the whole day for me. And if nothing else, it starts to get my mind curious, like, okay, what's normal today? How could I be normal? How can I be normal with the pandemic happening for 13 months? Okay, what is normal in my life? Oh, well, it's normal for me to have a healthy breakfast, right? So it just starts me, it's like positive music that's playing in the background. And my mind now, because when you're picking your word for the day, it's trained my mind. Like it's automatic now that I think about doing it, because I've used belief or patterning to train my mind, my subconscious. Because here's the thing is, most of the time we're running on that autopilot, which is great, right? Because you always say we don't have to learn how to tie our shoes, drive the car, and eat and all those things over and over. The challenge is that, I was always really positive before belief or patterning. However, what I realized is that my subconscious, when I went to sleep, was playing those old programs that weren't always so kind. So I think the superpower that I love about belief or patterning is it gets into the subconscious, so changes those beliefs that we got when we were in utero to 7 years old. And it's not our mom's fault, right? And it's not my fault. We all did the best we could. So just get over that part, which I had to as well. But it really starts to train our mind so that we can access more choice and more of our better parts of ourselves and all of ourselves. Yeah, that would be definitely my recommendation, is picking your word.
Yeah. And the work that you're doing around shame, and helping people move through and recognizing that their birthright is pleasure, that their birthright is to be a whole human being, and it's all good, some of those beliefs happened centuries, millennial ago, and we've carried them as humankind. And there's a lot of work that shows, Bruce Lipton in particular comes to mind, that shows how that can happen through the DNA. And you are able to, with the work that you're doing, help people shift that. And it's not just kind of a rah make you feel good. It actually, like, changes the thinking pattern, and super powerful. And kudos to you for stepping up bravely and helping yourself first, and then helping other women and their families. And it's not, like I say, you will work with anyone. You're just really super focused on that. And I think it's kind of funny, because what happened is that you super focused on women, and then their partners started saying, how do I get some of this? Because it's not belief repatterning it fits everyone. It's not a one size fits all, but it is something that everyone can do, because it's based in learning. And I love, you and I share that education background, and you just grabbed onto it and ran with it. So, you got anything coming up that people need to know about? I mean, they can do one-on-ones with you. Do you have any of your retreats or courses coming up? I know it's kind of like crystal ball. Are we able to do anything? But what have you got in the works?
Yeah, there's actually a summit that's coming up called Empowered Sexuality that I was invited to speak at. So I can certainly I have a personal link to share to that, and it's free. It's because we realize, all of us who are speakers in the event, that as women especially, and it is, I believe, primarily for women, it's mostly women speakers, if not all, when we're comfortable in our bodies, we literally do become more confident. It's like we've got endorphins and dopamine going to the brain. So it's one of my big things is to have women come to this. So that's one they can come to, because when we realize how important pleasure is, it's actually nourishing our vital organs. So I really want people to understand that pleasure is actually not dessert. It's not an extra. It is not only our birthright, but it's actually going to help you build your immune system right now.
Yes. Yeah. Great. All right. So I'm going to just put this up, and you could just, anything that you want to say in closing before we say goodbye. And
Yeah, just I would say, whether you work with me or someone else, go and find a belief pattern practitioner who you work with. Whether you've done a whole bunch of other modalities or not, I have had a lot of other experience before this, and I was just going to say that it will amplify everything you've done in the past. You'll just have more access to all the other education things you've done in the past. So go find a practitioner to work with, someone who you resonate with, because I know that this will transform your life and help you be a better version of you. And it's going to ripple out to your family, and everything in your life is going to vibe higher and be better, a better version of you. So I'm so grateful to you, Suze, for bringing this. It has changed my life, my family's life. My 90-year-old dad, who's going to be 90 this month, have continued to build my relationships with my parents and my children and everyone that I touch. So I just know, if you have any resistance, just come and check it out. There's no pressure. Just come and connect with a practitioner, connect with Suze, connect with something that's happening in the community. And I guarantee you, I promise you, it will change your life. Just go and check it out and find out for yourself how amazing it can be in your life.
thank you for that, Vireo, and thank you so much. And really encourage, if you or anyone you know is dealing with any kind of not being a whole and complete woman who is, reveling in her femininity, get a hold of Vireo, because she can help you get there.